About 3 decades ago, the quadrant was plagued by a neural parasite that stole the will of its victims and effectively transformed them, while not giving any real sign that the victim had long since expired. By doing this, they slowly but surely subsumed entire populations before any oddities arose. Once their population rose above a certain threshold, they took off the mask and attempted to forcibly convert the remaining population to their number. In a panicked flight from the world, some would meld into the crowd and be taken to the next world to begin the process again. They were dubbed brain crawlers by those who escaped their insidious infiltration of stations, ships, and planets. Now let me be clear. Those that succumbed to the parasite weren't those cliché horror movie undead so many worlds fantasized about fighting at some point in their history. These were grotesque. Puppets of flesh driven by merciless masters with all the speed and strength of whatever species they subverted. Soon enough, they learned to abuse racist sympathies and specifically targeted the weak, sick, young, or old in order to make us hesitate. Planets across the quadrant fell into paranoia and panic, all except for one. Earth, as it so often is from the wider community, was seemingly left alone by that which troubled its neighbours. Only when we landed to investigate did we finally understand why. We landed in the winter cold of Cairo Silla Port and began our descent via space elevator. We were a delegation sent to ascertain how the humans were able to starve off the infection and keep their planet so calm, despite the information about the parasitic plague spiraling out of control elsewhere. When we landed, we were thoroughly searched and subjugated to full-body scans as Council protocol demanded, all the while an automatic sentry was aimed directly at our craniums. This in itself was a nerve-wracking experience, but the guards and soldiers gave us even more concern. They were lax. Either playing cards or smoking, no one was really paying attention to us in the slightest. Did they trust their scanners that much? The parasites were known to bypass even the most intrusive scans by mimicking parts of the brain before. Had they not received these reports? As the procedure ended, we were instructed over to a table to collect our belongings. I heard the elevator doors open yet again, and sure enough, a group of human refugees had poured out and patiently awaited processing. I was barely able to register it, but as the refugees lined up, all the soldiers' actions slowed. Instead of whatever activities they were doing before their gaze was now intently centered on the group of ragged humans. Halt! All the armed men stood immediately shouldering their weapons, and a storm of gasps and whimpers followed from the crowd. One of the grim-faced soldiers waded his way into the crowd to grab the arm of a young woman. Her blonde hair contrasted sharply with her green irises. She seemed confused, and even I was wondering what was going on. He looked right at her for a moment, and his expression turned sour. One of our number tried to walk over and intervene, but instead was halted by the arm of another soldier close by. He shook his head from side to side, a motion we being briefed meant no, and so he stood in place. "Yes, sir. Have I done something wrong?" the woman asked. The crowd stared at the unfolding scene just as intently as we were, and only a few seconds felt as if they had frozen in time. A loud whamp suddenly drew everyone's attention. A soldier had dropped a book directly on the floor. I immediately looked back at the grim soldier, only to see a knife driven into the woman's leg. Now, that's funny. A human would be screaming by now. A shot echoed through the atrium as blood sprayed the glass-separating wall. Bone shards, grey matter, and a talon? The turret system let out a low-toned alarm, then accurately picked off 8 more figures from within the crowd and stopped. The people didn't scream. In fact, after the shooting was done, they seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. "Alright, folks, if you'll follow Corporal Haskins here, we'll get you out of those rags and into some fresh clothes. Meal time is at 6:30. Let an officer know if you need any dietary alterations." The crowd rushed through the gate, carefully avoiding the fresh corpses. How did he know? I didn't even realise the words floating in my head had left my mouth as well. The soldier who had blocked us before chuckled. Spontaneous reaction is the one thing they have trouble mimicking. They're so busy trying to blend in, overloaded with body language and social cues, that they forgo the basic stuff in order to play the part better. Hence why Haskins dropped the book. The grim soldier walked over to us. That's when we take advantage of their mental load and hit him with a non-life-threatening wound. People scream, Husk stoned. Too busy trying to locate the sound after the fact. He took a cloth off the shelf next to him and wiped off the gore from his face, then tossed it into a previously hidden trash bin underneath the changing table. The bin was full of blood-dried rags. After the first dies, the rest seemed to get all bothered and twitch just enough for good old iron sights on the scene to register an anomaly. Even now, cleaning robots were washing away the viscera from the glass and bagging the parasite parts for disposal. But how did you know the woman was, Husk to begin with? The grim soldier paused. Science boys haven't really figured it out yet, but if you know what to look for, we can just kinda tell. The blocking soldier leaned against the table. Something just doesn't sit right about him. They don't look normal to us. Sometimes it's how long it takes them to blink, sometimes it's the gait of their walk, sometimes it's just a feeling and nothing more, but so far we haven't let a single grimy worm through to Earth. A heavy sigh came from the grim soldier. If you manage to look him in the eye long enough, you can see there's no light back there, like someone went and switched their soul off.